Hey guys, what's up, Zyflin here, and in today's video we're going to be talking about the INAROS rework, or the INAROS changes. I wouldn't so much call it a rework. INAROS is still INAROS. He kinda has stayed the same, at least in my opinion. You have a lot of people who are like ranting and raving and saying like, oh, he's a lot better now. In my opinion, he's still INAROS, just a little bit more viable. So if you happen to farm him during your playthrough of Warframe, you pick him up, you can definitely take him into a Steel Path mission now. So we're not going to be testing him out in the simulacrum because I feel like to demonstrate the changes in a meaningful way, we want to just go ahead, jump straight into a Steel Path mission, because that was kind of the meme. Like, why would you ever take INAROS into a Steel Path mission? Because he was only ever the health and armor frame, and that doesn't really scale that well. And to be honest, it still doesn't, right? Like, there's always going to be frames out there who outscale INAROS, especially with Overguard existing in the game now. INAROS' survivability comes more from like your iframes and stuff like that, and spamming Sandstorm. So it's just a different way of playing him now, I guess, and just more effective, right? His kit is kind of the same, just more effective, more Steel Path viable, and that's kind of the summary, or his changes summarized, right? So let's go ahead and cover what type of build that we're running here on INAROS, and honestly, like, the changes. So if we go ahead, we take a look at abilities. Pocket Stance, so his first ability basically stays the same. I went ahead and took that off in favor of Roar because Roar is going to complement the Sandstorm ability. Sandstorm is applying slash procs, so we're weighting heavily into that. We're going to be dealing a lot of damage with these slash procs by building a lot of power strength and stuff. We're also going to be making use of the Elemental Sandstorm augment, which allows us to apply viral and stuff like that, so we get even more damage. We've also got the Scarab Shell ability. Now, I mainly use this not for the bonus armor, but just so I can proc the Archon Intensify mod, the bonus effect of that for the bonus power strength. You can use that over the likes of Umbral Intensify because, Umbral Intensify is kind of awkward to throw on, right? Plus, you get more power strength from the Archon Intensify anyway, so why wouldn't you use it? You can also put a V polarity on and, fit it into a build a little bit better. And then the final ability here, Scarab Swarm. So this is basically just apply corrosive procs to enemies. You can run 2 regular emerald shards to fully strip. Now, would I recommend doing that? Would I recommend picking up INAROS, putting on, the shards, like basically investing everything into him? With how scarce shards are and how little you get them, he isn't the first frame that I would say, oh yeah, go ahead and throw on Emerald Shards, right? Like, there's definitely other frames out there that are going to benefit a lot more from having shards on. INAROS is kind of your last pick, at least in my opinion. But it is a thing that you can do if you want to do that. If you have the extra shards laying around, you can go ahead, throw on the 2 regular shards or regular green shards, and get that armor strip effect, but it's not really necessary. So, moving on to the build, we've weighted very heavily into power strength. So we're using Archon Intensify, Transient Fortitude, Blind Rage, Augur Secrets, and Mult Augmented for a metric F-ton of power strength. We have a little bit of duration on here, so you want to keep your duration value anywhere between like 90% and 125%. So you either want to be a little bit below 100% or a little bit above. You don't want to invest too much in the duration because it doesn't matter that much, but you just want to have a little bit for, all the buffs and stuff like that, and staying in Sandstorm, etc., etc. So don't worry too much about your duration, just have a little tiny bit on. Archon stretches on here for the energy sustain. So because of Elemental Sandstorm, which is his augment mod, we're able to apply electric procs with our Sandstorm ability, and that is going to keep our energy up. Now, this build kind of relies on that if you're not running electric on your melee like this mod reads, because it says that it is inflicting status effects based on the damage types and mod on equipped melee weapon. If you're not running electric on your melee weapon, this build kind of falls apart because you're not going to have any way to sustain your energy, and you're going to have to look at other options. But you can easily drop Archon Stretch for something different. It's just what I wanted to run because the idea of pressing Sandstorm, sucking up as many enemies as possible, applying viral slash and electric to all the enemies caught within the Sandstorm itself. That's appealing to me. That sounds pretty fun, and if I can sustain my energy while doing that, well then I might as well, right? So Archon Stretch and Elemental Sandstorm for the range. And then we've got, of course, the bonus elemental effects from Sandstorm by running it on your melee weapon. So mine looks a little bit like this. I'm running viral and electric, and the weighting of your elements actually matter as well, right? So if you have more viral than electric, you're going to apply viral more than electric and vice versa, right? So that's something to pay attention to as well. That's why you don't see I've got like everything sort of maxed out. I guess I could max out Vicious Frost, but it doesn't really matter because you're going to be applying a lot of viral anyway. So that is basically that. That's the build. There are like cheaper alternatives. So for example, you can run something that looks a little bit like this. It's maybe easier to mod. You could run a tank build, which looks a little bit like this. So this is like your adaptation and stuff. It's more sort of like newbie friendly. So you've got a lot of different options whenever it comes to playing INAROS, just like you kind of did before. Like you could build for his abilities, or you could build for the tanking, the health and armor and stuff like that. But honestly, like if you're going to be jumping in the steel path, this would be the type of build that I would run. And there's many different ways of making a build quite like this, but honestly I would center it around Elemental Sandstorm because it is just a good mod, and it's going to increase the amount of kills that you get by a ton. So let's go ahead and jump into a like 5-minute survival or something like that in the void. And really the only problem that you're going to have is the likes of, what's it called, your, what do you call those stalker enemies against? Acolytes, right? Another thing that you might want to run as well is a Hiras Kuru, which is modded a little bit like this. This is going to make you invisible, and then you can stay invisible while you're in your Sandstorm and just like go around and kill everything and just not get shot, which is pretty great as well. But not that that matters, because as you're casting Sandstorm, you're going to have iframes. So let's just go ahead, jump into the mission. Over here, we go to Mott. Why not? That rhymed. Wow. I'm a natural of this. Make sure to bring weapons that you can use to kill high value targets like Xmas enemies as well. Quite important. But yeah, so you want to go ahead, hack this, cast your roar, sacrifice a little bit of health if you're free, and then go ahead, cast Sandstorm. Gonna heal you. You got the Archon Intensify proc right there. And as you can see, just from casting Sandstorm and sucking up all the enemies, applying all those electric procs, our energy is totally sustained. And that's basically all we're going to be doing. We're just going to keep on going around, sucking up all the enemies, and only really stopping whenever we need the recast roar, right? So just get to a safe spot, recast roar. I'm invisible anyway because of my Hiras Kuru. And we're good to go. And you just keep on doing this until, you know, you've survived the 5 minutes in your survival, or you've killed all the enemies and they exterminate. Something like that. And it's pretty easy. So, like, this is the reason that I haven't, like, went ahead and put on emerald shards myself, because I don't know, I'm not sitting around long enough to cast it for it. Like, maybe if I was taking INAROS into, like, a mission where I knew there's going to be, like, a high-value target or something that had a lot of armor, and then I would go ahead and put those emerald shards on. But, to be honest, I'm not taking INAROS into that type of mission, you know what I mean? Like, there's better frames out there for that type of thing. So, you know, I don't think it's really worth throwing a combined shard, 2 combined shards onto this boy just for that purpose, you know what I mean? And like on top of that, like he's just not the frame that like I'm recommending players invest into anyway. But as you can see, like for just a casual sort of like fun frame, if you want to go around and play as a Sandstorm, like he fills that purpose now. He's viable in that sense. You can do that. Like I said, the only thing you gotta worry about is like these Xmas enemies, because they don't get sucked up by your 2, right? So you gotta, you know, stop for a second and shoot at them or melee them or something like that. And that's basically how you play this guy now. So, you know, that's INAROS in a nutshell. Still don't recommend picking him up. I still think he kind of sucks. Like this change compared to the Hydroid change, like Hydroid got it way better than INAROS did. But you know, if you've got INAROS or INAROS Prime laying around and you just want to make a build for him that's steel path viable, definitely possible now. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this quick look at the INAROS changes. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead, hit that like button below. If you want to see more Warframe content from me, hit subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.